Sylvie's here.
Holzman's here.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Sup? Just chafing a little bit.
Full 5 minutes early.
Yeah. Although I am listening to you on noise canceling headphones now.
As am I.
Do you put the transparency on so you can hear yourself?
No, I do the noise canceling.
But then you can't even really barely hear yourself talk.
I don't need to hear myself talk. That's in my head.
Oh, man. What kind of politician are you?
Retired one.
Kenny's on, if anybody else is.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning. How you been?
Good morning.
Good morning. I figured I'd get on 3 minutes early today because I was 3 minutes late last week.
Bill, I was just geeking out on some NFL record stats, and I got into the Chiefs, and I saw that you have the all-time record for pass attempts at, 608, something like that?
One season? Yeah. I remember
one season.
it was 83. I had a chance to break about 5 NFL records the last game, and it was 0 degrees, minus 29 at Arrowhead at game time.
Mm.
And my coach, John Makovic, looks to me in the third quarter. We're blowing him out. He goes, I don't think you're getting that attempts or that completions record today. And I said, yeah, I don't think so either. He goes, and I don't think you want the attempts record, do you? And I said, no. Let's put the young guy in. Hey, I do still have a record that Alex Smith came within one of my record, but then they jettisoned him out of town. They said, we got to keep this for Kenny. I'm serious. It is the one record I still hold. All-time sacky.
You went down the most, huh?
I have been sacked. I think it was 196 times. Alex Smith got to 195, and they did not. We got to keep that record for Bill.
Oh man, that's a good one to have.
Hey, it's longevity.
And that was over 9 seasons.
11.
11.
Yeah, 10 with the Chiefs. Yeah.
Hey. Did you start somewhere else or did you end somewhere else?
I was drafted second to last player picked in '78 by Miami, traded to the Redskins, cut. But that's another story. You can look up Sports on Earth, and I was named Mr. Irrelevant all time in the 38 years. And what's even more irrelevant than that, I wasn't Mr. Irrelevant. I was the second to last. But the last guy couldn't show up at the event, so I claimed the distinction. And then I signed the Chiefs as a free agent, nobody, and was able to play there 10 years. And then ended up with the Redskins again.
And then you go on to throw 4,000 yards, and one of the early first 4,000-yard passers.
I was the fourth ever, behind Namath, Fouts, and Brian Sipe did it the year before me, I think. That was just crazy. It's crazy. Nobody threw for that. That's just a different era. Now they do it in about 10 weeks.
Well, and we just saw a stat yesterday that showed that for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, all the all-time quarterbacks, Manning, Brady, Drew Brees, they're all achieving that in like their 100th and 20th game or whatever. And Mahomes has done it in 40.
I know. That kid's amazing.
He's already tied with or one behind Brady. And Brady's played like 290 games, something like that.
It's just, he's just amazing. That's all. It's a different game, and than it used to be. But he just does things
Probably
that are
because of pass interference.
Oh yeah, that's the biggie. Because when I played, it was bumping up all the way down the field, and then they eliminated Stickum about '84. And I got stitches in my chin about 4 times from helmet to chins. There's never a penalty.
So why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah.
All right. Are the other commissioners on? Commissioner Roop or Commissioner Coleman?
Roop just got on.
Coleman is here.
All right. We are all assembled. So we'll go ahead and call the agenda meeting to order. Again, due to COVID-19, the Commission will continue conducting agendas via WebEx for the foreseeable future. And I ask those participating on the call, please mute unless you need to speak. First order of business is to approve the minutes from November 24th. You all have seen those. Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes of November 24th, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those minutes are approved 5-0. We have 9 tariffs and new orders today, so we'll go ahead and jump in with file number GR 2021-0101. This is in the matter of Liberty Utilities, Mid-States Natural Gas Corp., DBA Liberty MNG, purchased gas adjustment tariff filing. So Liberty Mid-States Natural Gas filed tariff sheets to modify the company's purchase gas adjustment factor to recognize changes in the cost of natural gas. The company submitted corrections to its tariff sheet and voluntarily extended the effective date to December 13th. The PGA tariff will adjust the rates for the company's various service territories. Staff has reviewed the tariff sheets and the filings from the company and recommended that they be approved on an interim basis, subject to refund. No other responses were received. So this order approves the tariff revision and directs staff to review the results of the actual cost adjustment and submit its findings next December. So I recommend that we support this order version 1. Commissioner Kinney?
I am in support.
Commissioner Roop?
I am supporting the order.
Commissioner Coleman?
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman?
I support the order.
All right. All those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 1, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number WO 2020-0410. This is in the matter of the petition of Missouri American Water Company for approval to change its infrastructure system replacement surcharge. Last week, we issued an order approving an agreement and authorizing Missouri American to submit tariff sheets consistent with staff's recommended recovery amount for its ISRIS rate. The company filed its compliance tariff sheets and a motion requesting expedited treatment so that the tariff could go into effect on December 14th. Staff reviewed the tariff sheets and recommended that it be approved. There were no objections to the tariff sheet or the request for expedited treatment. So this order approves that tariff sheet to go into effect on December 14th. And I recommend we support the order as drafted version 1. Commissioner Kinney?
I'm sorry, I am supporting the order. Excuse me.
Great. Commissioner Roop?
I'm supporting the order too.
Thank you. Commissioner Coleman?
Support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman?
I support the order.
All right. All those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 1, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number GE 2020-0373. This is a long one. This is in the matter of the request of Spire Missouri Inc., DBA Spire, for a temporary waiver from Commission Rules 20 CSR 4240-40.030, sub 9 sub Q, sub 13 sub M, sub 15 sub C, sub 15 sub D, and sub 15 sub E, and orders pertaining to inspections and replacements. So Spire is seeking a modification to the Commission's June 11th order that granted a conditional temporary waiver for compliance with certain gas safety rules due to COVID because of social distancing concerns. So those safety regulations relate to atmospheric corrosion inspections and keylage surveys. That Commission's June order requires the company to have all facilities be in compliance by December 31st of 2020. Spire has now requested the deadline to be extended to March 31st, 2021. They report that some customers are refusing access to their homes due to COVID concerns. And in October, there were 165 documented residential customers who declined inspections due to COVID. And then the company also reported that other customers did not respond to the inspection request. So staff recommended that the extension request be granted, limited to residential customers who refuse entry to their homes due to the coronavirus. Spire agreed with staff's recommendation. I don't believe that gas safety will be compromised by extending the waiver another 3 months for this very specific area, especially since Spire will be be required to conduct weekly odorant and intensity testing and provide notice of inspection delays. So Spire would be required to get all of the residential facilities in compliance by the end of March, and I support the order extending the waiver version 1. Commissioner Kenny.
Yeah, I would concur with your comments and do support the order.
Thank you. Commissioner Roop.
I am supportive as well.
Commissioner Coleman.
I'm in support.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right. All those in favor of approving the orders drafted version 1 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number AW 2020-0356. This is in the matter of a working case to consider best practices for recovery of past due utility customer payments after the COVID-19 pandemic emergency. The Commission opened this docket, which gathers information about the impacts of COVID-19 on utility customers, level of past due amounts, and level of disconnects. Staff gathers information from the various utilities and submits monthly reports. While the initial order opening the docket directed staff to submit their monthly reports through December, we're obviously still dealing with the impacts of COVID. So this order directs staff to continue gathering information about current levels of disconnections due to non-payment, as well as additional information such as the number of customers participating in payment plans or that have received a final disconnection notice. So it also directs the utilities to respond to staff's data requests seeking information by the 15th of each month, so that staff will have sufficient time to include that information on their monthly reports. And I recommend that we support this order as drafted version 1. Commissioner Kenny.
I am supporting the order.
Roop.
I am supportive as well.
Commissioner Coleman.
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right. All those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 1 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is now approved 5-0. Next up, file number GT 2021-0099. This is in the matter of Spire Missouri Inc. DBA Spire's proposed tariff sheet filings. Spire filed tariff sheets that would modify the commercial and industrial rebate program terms for both its eastern and western service territories. These tariff sheets were filed on November 25th and replaced tariff sheets that were initially submitted in September, but withdrawn after the company worked on addressing some issues with staff. So under the terms of the submitted tariff sheets, the company would allocate approximately $500,000 in unspent fiscal year 2020 commercial and industrial class rebate funds to assist eligible small businesses impacted by COVID. So eligible small business customers will be able to receive a recurring $100 bill credit for up to 5 months. The credit will be available until either the unspent rebate funds are depleted or September 30th of 2021, whichever comes first. The program will be administered by the United Way. Staff recommends that the new tariffs be approved and points out that the tariff sheets before us reflect the discussions between both staff and Spire. Spire is requesting the tariff sheets be allowed to go into effect on December 12th. Staff supports the request and expedited treatment. No other responses were received for either the tariff sheets or the requested effective date. I think this is a great repurposing of these funds to be able to assist small businesses. So I appreciate the company coming forward with this and would support the order version 1. Commissioner Kenny.
I would agree, an excellent program, and I support the order.
Commissioner Root.
I echo both of your comments and support the order.
Commissioner Coleman
I concur.
and Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right. All those in favor of approving the order as drafted, version 1, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number EM 2021-0114. So this is in the matter of the joint application of GridLiance and Nextera entities for approval of the acquisition of GridLiance by the Nextera entities. GridLiance and Nextera filed a joint application requesting the Commission either approve Nextera's acquisition of GridLiance or make a determination that it lacks jurisdiction. The Missouri Joint Municipal Electric Utility Commission, as we know it as MUJMUC, submitted a timely request to intervene, which the applicants opposed. MUJMUC claims that there is a contractual relationship between it and GridLiance concerning the transmission assets that are at issue in this file. There are currently 2 pending actions in federal court concerning that contractual relationship. GridLiance and Nextera opposed MUJMUC's application to intervene, stating that their application does not require the Commission to make any decision on the contract with MUJMUC. This order, however, grants MUJMUC's intervention request. The Commission's rules for intervention allow intervention when there's an interest different from the general public, which may be adversely affected by a final order. Our rules also allow intervention if it would serve the public interest, and I think that MUJMUC has demonstrated that it meets both of those standards. Typically absent concerns of harassment or abusing the hearing process, this Commission has traditionally interpreted its intervention rules broadly to allow access to the hearing process, and for that reason, I support this version 1. Commissioner Kinney.
I agree with your comments and support the order.
Thank you, Commissioner Roop.
I also agree with your comments and support the order as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Coleman.
I support the order.
All right, and Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right, all those in favor of approving the order as drafted, version 1, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, this is also a long title. File number AU 2021-0072. This is in the matter of the application of Empire District Electric Company, DBA Liberty, the Empire District Gas Company, Liberty Utilities, Missouri Water LLC, DBA Liberty Utilities, and Liberty Utilities Mid-States Natural Gas Corp., DBA Liberty Utilities, for accounting authority orders allowing the electric, gas, water, and wastewater utilities to record and preserve costs related to COVID-19. So Empire filed a single application requesting 5 separate accounting authority orders for COVID impacts to each of the affiliated electric, water, sewer, and gas utilities. This order separates the application for the various utilities into distinct file numbers. Now, I know that there's some possible administrative efficiencies that can come from consolidating everything into a single application, like the filing of testimony and briefs or a single hearing. But there would also be potential for different standards from the various uniform system of account guidelines being applied to each industry. So there's also a possibility that should the application go to hearing, different standards or evidence of the COVID impacts may result in the need for different resolutions for each specific utility. So I think that separating the application out into files for each specific utility can avoid complications down the road. I do want to point out, though, that just because we aren't treating this as a consolidated application doesn't mean that we can't have a consolidated hearing process, perhaps separating out the specific days or times during which, during the hearing, which issues for specific utilities can be addressed while still allowing testimony applicable to all of the utilities be presented at once. So I think that there could be efficiencies from consolidating the hearing, but I think it's important that we separate them into distinct files for each of the companies. And I support this order as drafted version 4. Commissioner Kinney?
I am in support of the order.
Thank you. Commissioner Roop?
I also am supporting the order.
Thank you. Commissioner Coleman?
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right. All those in favor of approving the orders drafted version 4, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number EU 2021-0027. This is in the matter of the application of Union Electric Company, DBA Ameren, Missouri, for an accounting authority order to record and preserve net costs and revenues related to COVID-19. The Missouri Industrial Energy Consumers submitted an application to intervene in this case 8 days after the November 10th deadline. They stated that the application was delayed due to a need to consult with clients. I believe that MIEC meets the Commission's standards for granting the application, even with the late filing. They represent industrial consumers that have an interest different from the general public that may be adversely affected by a final order. Their intervention also will serve the public interest. No party opposed their late filing, and as we demonstrated earlier, we typically are very broad in our applications to intervene. So I would go ahead and approve this order as drafted version 2. Commissioner Kinney?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, earlier in my tenure, we started getting lots of situations where we had these late interventions, and a couple times we put our foot down and said, we're not going to allow this. The Missouri Industrial Energy Consumers Group is a player here. They're involved in just about every one of our cases. They know the rules, and to just come in untimely, I think is kind of ridiculous. They know the rules. However, since no one opposed this, and I know they have a standing, I'm going to support the order. But I just wanted to make those comments to MIEC.
And I think those are valid comments that I agree with as well. Obviously, I wasn't there for the beginning of your tenure, but I think the important part for me in this order is that no one else has opposed it, even though it was late. So
I would agree with that.
yeah, so I would echo your comments though on the importance of meeting deadlines, particularly if you are someone who is in front of us all the time. But so thank you for that comment, Commissioner Root.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and support the order. I do know that we have on occasion a few times said no, but I think in those instances they were kind of more of a habitual breaker of the rules and wanting to start to become a pattern. MIEC, they're usually right on time and very organized, so I don't see a pattern here, and I think we should go ahead and let them in.
Okay, Commissioner Coleman.
I agree, and this being 2020 and COVID, the pandemic, all sorts of reasons can be in place why this request was made. So I support the order.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Holzman?
I concur with Commissioner Root's comments as well. I just think that, if it becomes an issue, then we reserve the right to vote no. But in this circumstance, I support the order.
All right. All those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 2, say aye.
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 All right, that order is approved 5-0. Which brings us to our last order of the day, file number WR 2020-0344. This is in the matter of the application of Missouri American Water Company's request for authority to implement general rate increase for water and sewer service provided in the Missouri service areas. So this order sets 8 local public hearings over 6 days in late January for Missouri American Water Company's general rate case. Now, due to COVID, these hearings will be conducted via web conference, and this order describes how customers can sign up to testify or join the various hearings via phone or web. There will also be a question and answer session where customers can hear presentations from the representatives of the company, staff, and public counsel about the case and ask questions. That Q&A session will be at the beginning of each hearing. Anyone wanting to listen to the hearings, including the Q&A session, should also be able to do so by going to the Commission's website, which is www.psc.mo.gov, at the set time and clicking on the link for live stream. So I recommend that we support this order as drafted version 2, setting these hearings. Commissioner Kinney?
I support the order.
Commissioner Root?
I support the order.
Commissioner Coleman,
I support the order.
and Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order. I just want to make a comment that I think this is going to be interesting to see how it impacts participation. It may reduce a little bit of spontaneity with someone, finding out there's a hearing and then just showing up. But I also think it could, be a benefit to where more folks can participate because they can do it from their home or via phone. And I'll be interested to see if this is a new norm that's established, or if we go back to the old ways and see what kind of participation we have. So I support the order.
Appreciate your comments. I'm certainly hopeful that this format will induce more participation. You came on right before the pandemic got serious, so I don't believe you've sat or driven to as many hearings where no one showed up as the others of us have. So hopefully this will provide easy access for people to participate. So with that, all those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 2, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. So that is the last of the orders today. We have no other discussions, so we will do scheduling. Thursday, December 3rd, we have rulemaking hearing in MX 2020-0357. That concerns the Man House rules via WebEx at 10 a.m., Judge DePel presiding. Friday, December 4th, we have an evidentiary hearing in GC 2020-0201. This is Scott v. Spire. That will be via WebEx at 9:15 a.m., Judge Jacobs presiding. Wednesday, December 9th, agenda at 10:15 a.m. Wednesday, December 16th, agenda at 10:15 a.m. Thursday, December 17th, we have an evidentiary hearing in WR 2020-0275. This is Elm Hills Utility Operating Company, Inc.'s request for a water and sewer rate increase. That will be via WebEx at 9 a.m., Judge Hatcher presiding. Wednesday, December 23rd, agenda at 10:15 a.m. But we may not be required to actually have that. I mean, that's the week of Christmas, so we'll see if there are any impending deadlines. Otherwise, we may be able to cancel that one. And then Wednesday, December 30th, agenda at 10:15 a.m. So are there any questions, comments, or requests regarding scheduling through the end of 2020? All right, hearing none and having no other business coming before the body, we will stand adjourned. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, guys.